What is up, guys? I'm not your boy and I'm not coming back with another brand new video. So if we search so far, there is a book named Brian what is the name? Ethical Hacking with Kali Linux, right? Learn first how to hack like a pro. What is it? It's a dragon, right? What kind of dragon it is? Hugo Hoffman. Level 2 in the authentication, Marak with MK3, DOS ATAC, MKD3, brute force ATAC with TCP Hydra, Hermitage, Hail Mary, Metasploit framework, software engineering computation. So if we simply open ChatGPT, right? Best cloud computing 2024. We can practice a chart. So it rush into penetration testing. Chapter 4, right? happening here? So if we search here, we have already discussed Linux basics, especially Kali Linux, right? Jump it right onto Kali command line or graphical user interface. If you know more, proceed when you take one as job an ethical hacker. Therefore, first we are going to look at understanding penetration testing and how it works in terms of recognize, and footprinting. After that, we are going to discuss how the pen test and how to scan your targets. First, we have to understand why we pen test in the first place. That may seem an obvious question, but we'll give you some more details here. Next, we'll talk about more different types of pen testers, but there are not only different types, but different individuals who are also involved. You should be aware of when we are going through a different stage of pen testing. Of you fully understand what these are. We look at the pre-attack stage, which we spend a lot of time because we want to set some parameters as well as protecting obviously legally, right? Then we look at stage 2, where we look at the things that we will be doing during the attack. Afterwards, we look at the post-attack steps. We work about the standards required you with following. Some of standards are done by manufacturers and some of are open standards, and you will need to decide which one you wish to follow based on what you are trying to accomplish. Once you have find the standard for yourself, stay to it. But to the question, why do you the pen test in the first place? Well, this seems like an easy question, or that you would like to answer is pretty straightforward, but there are a few reasons why we do pen tests. First of all, we want to elevate the current security profile of the organization by simulating an attack to find out what vulnerabilities a malicious attacker could exploit. Another legitimate reason we do pen tests to create security measures, since we are going after the network. Doesn't make sense to go ahead and figure out maybe design or current security mechanisms. Many people feel that pen test is designed to point out vulnerabilities, but we will not just point out the vulnerability, but we must also highlight the effects that weakness or the vulnerability process to the company. Upon completion of a pen test, we can deliver a comprehensive report with the details of everything we have discovered. You could also argue that pen testing is designed not just to have the gaps in your security model, but it can also benefit in disaster recovery and business continuity planning. The goal is simulate methods that malicious attackers utilize the attempt to gain unauthorized access to your network. First of all, we want to ensure that the list of objectives of the pen test, and some companies may may or may not need certain elements tested. Establishing parameters for those tests should be primary focus, and limitations or justification of attacking those systems. Another way that you could ensure that you perform a decent pen test is to follow a methodology, and we will work about methods later on, but you want to focus on one, because most of the plans will ensure that you cover all your base. Documentation in another vital factor of a decent pen test. So we want to ensure that the client can understand what it is and where we're talking about, and the pen tester needs to ensure that they're available to answer any questions that might come up from the documented pen test report. Another way that you could ensure that you do a pen test is to prove you have got the right tools, and some of these tools will be proprietary and some open source, and some of them will things for you automatically, and other might include scripts as well as standard command line interfaces. Another way that you could ensure that you have a decent pen test is to close who is involved. You may not be doing this alone. If you are doing it alone, you want to ensure that you and everybody else involved in the pen test is a legit penetration tester who follows the rules of non-disclosure agreement. This is important if you are being hired to do a pen test that could destroy a company. It is your job, your responsibility, and your integrity to ensure that you help protect the client, right? You also want to ensure that not just point out what's wrong, but when you report the findings, provide the recommendations of what needs to be done, or what's good done to fix a problem. Offer solution all the times. Beside the main 4 reasons of performing a pen test, there are a couple of other reasons you should be aware to. One of them might be aspects of trying to come up on changes that needs to be made to your infrastructure to make you more secure, whatever that hardware or software related, or even its network's design. You can also use pen testing results to create a penetration steps to help preventing exploitation from taking place. Another reasons is look at the effectiveness of network mechanisms, evaluation. Sorry, I'm not sure about my pronunciation, but it's mechanized or machines of network machines. Even if those machines are firewalls, routers, switches, web server, and file servers, we would utilize pen testing results to confirm our security defense and the controls that we have in place. For example, because you had a pen test 3 months ago, that doesn't mean that something else hasn't changed on your network. Likewise, pen testing results could benefit us in creating teams or management to help focus on particular vulnerabilities and security issues, to get people trained who are in charge of those systems. We would also utilize pen testing results to help identify that are facing our organization assets, and this is going to change because different businesses are in different industry. For example, hospitals are going to look at different security mechanisms versus small business to reduce organization expenditures right on IT security, enhanced to return investment or ROI when it comes to those security devices. We must identify and remediate vulnerabilities and weakness. We can also utilize pen testing results for creating policies, produce implements, and new designs. We can also use this type of report to help and develop system process execution and plans for our company. And let's not forget that certain companies have the web specific regulations. Lastly, to come up with best practice for both legal and industry regulation. There is nothing worse than having data breach and being sued by a class action lawsuit from customers because you failed to show that you were trying to protect their data. You're going to read a lot of different terms because it utilized then it comes to different types of tests being done, such as security audit or vulnerability assessment. While we're still talking about pen testing, some folks might utilize all those terms in interchangeably interchangeably but interchangeably. Sorry, I'm not sure about my pronunciation, but there are some considerable difference, such as security audit checks whether the business is following a set of standard security policies and produce. Vulnerability assess focus on discovering vulnerability inside the network, but it provides no induction if the vulnerability can be exploited or the amount of damage it might result. In summary, pen test is systematic approach to security assessment, and that uh, encompasses the security audit as well as demonstrates if the attacker can successfully exploit the weakness in the system. When it comes to pen testing, you are also going to hear different types of teams, and since there are two types of groups, let me explain that each is. The first one is known as red team. A red team is also known as the aggressor team, and this team is ethical hackers and perform penetration tests on the system with no limited access and organization's internal resource. Red team attacks with with without warning, and red team may include some system administrators from different departments with the organization. The other type of team is known as blue team, and the blue team is a defensive team. The blue team has access all the organizational resource and information. The primary role is to detect, attempt, mitigate, and the red team activities and anticipate how a surprise attack might occur. The blue team may include some system administrators and standard IT staff. It is the less expensive and the most frequent assessment approach. When it comes to the types of pen tests out there, it all depends on your approach and how much information you have or given by the organization before the test starts. Moreover, it also depends on whether the pen tests are internal and external, with some user within a white box. And white box pen test means we have a complete knowledge of the infrastructure, and when a comprehensive experience, the customer or the company will provide a network topology including all the diagrams, asset inventors, as well as the software inventors. A company will do this type of test when it complete audit of the security, despite information security isn't going to process, and the pen testing gives us snapshot of security posture of the company and at a given point. Sorry, I'm not sure about my pronunciation, but this is all right. I'm reading from a streamline. Another type of test is black box text, black box test. This is broken down into two types of tests. It's known as blind test, and in a blind test, a pen tester don't know anything about the company or the target, but the target is informed of the audit scope, meaning that what the how, the when the tester will be testing. In a blind test, the attacker will simulate the action process as well as the procedures that a legal attacker would take. We are going to do some reconnaissance, some footprinting and some scanning, and also we'll look at some publicly available information. Build tests are more time consuming and more expensive because of the time, but other type of black box test is known as double blind. This is also known as a zero knowledge testing, and neither the pen tester knows about the target or not. The target is informed of the scope, the audit, so they don't know what, neither the how. So this is one of the more popular assessments that are used to today because of the aspects that it does not everybody's knowledge. We also have something called a gray box. This is combination of both black box with white box testing. This type of test is when the attacker has a partial knowledge, such as domain name of the server. This helps save some times versus the black box. This is just time saver for us, because in black box it's just matter of time before I properly recon you and get the gray area. The assumption that you are going to get the work done, it is also can provide what known as dual perspective, which offers a full system inspection from the both developers perspectives and attackers perspective. So we might attack from outside as well as simulate an inside attack by disconnected employee. There are a couple of different approaches that you could take. First, you can implement an announced strategy. It is an approach the pen tester should be able to acquire and complete overview of the infrastructure of the organization, and then also be given physical areas. The issue here is that has less an impact on the network base, that you are coming. When it comes to an unannounced approach, this is beneficial when it comes to testing the knowledge of the security personnel as well as examining the organization social engineering attacks. In an unannounced approach, only top measurement in hour of the tests and they are going to taking place. The standard IT guys such as service desk infrastructure team or applicable team have no idea when it's coming. The tends to have a more significant impact, and it also requires a strict process of what's going to be done. The real goal of an unannounced approach is to test the alertness of infrastructure and how responsive the IT staff is. Okay, so that's all for right now. Thank you very much for watching my videos. Please do subscribe on my channel.